Okay, so today is September 13th, and it's not a leap year, so today's the 256th day of the year. If you're a computer programmer, this day might stand out to you. It's a bit of a holiday, but in this video I want to talk about the number 256 and how it can connect a few seemingly unrelated topics. We're going to talk about Pac-Man level 256, we're going to talk about the simulation theory, we're going to talk about the Y2K glitch, we're going to talk about Tupac Shakur. Now today is the anniversary of his death date, and we're also going to get to Neo, Mr. Anderson from The Matrix. But first, let's just hear a tiny clip of an interview with Tupac Shakur, Tupac Amaru Shakur.
What do you think you're most known for? Your acting, your music, or the controversy that surrounds you?
My big mouth. My big mouth. I got a big mouth. Can't help it.
Tell me, what does Tupac Amaru Shakur mean?
Okay. It means, I was named after this Inca chief from South America whose name was Tupac Amaru, but it's a lot of people named Tupac Amaru. It's like a whole tribe named Tupac Amaru. So my mom named me after this Inca chief, and I think the tribal breakdown means like intelligent warrior or something like that. But
I see.
He's a deep dude.
So there's a lot more to say about that Inca chief. And we could also talk about the Amaru in mythology. And I read, let's keep this video short, but I read something along the lines of that the Amaru is capable of transgressing boundaries to and from the spiritual realm of the subterranean world. I thought that was very interesting in light of what I'm going to talk about. But I noticed that if we use the reverse satanic cipher of gematria, the name Amaru equals 256. Tupac Amaru Shakur died on September 13th, and more often than not, the anniversary of his death falls on the 256th day of the year. And just remember what I said about the mythology of Amaru. That's going to come into play later. But I was thinking about the infamous Pac-Man glitch. Pac-Man level 256. So if you're unaware, that's the highest level you can reach in Pac-Man. So I can leave some links in the description box. It has something to do with the integer overflow. Pac-Man was an 8-bit game, and once you get to level 256, half the screen gets all glitchy. So I'm not a computer programmer. It's hard for me to describe exactly what's going on with this, but 256 is 2 to the 8th power. 2 times 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 2. Supposedly created an issue. I've never made it to level 256. I mean, I have an emulation. You can skip right to that level. Like I said, I'll leave some links in the description box. I thought it was interesting if we use the English ordinal cipher of gematria and just type in this Pac-Man level 256, type out all those as words, meaning not the digits 2, 5, and 6, but TWO, FIVE, So again, Pac-Man level 256 equals 256. And they say Pac-Man level 256 is unbeatable. You cannot pass level 256. Just thought it was interesting that if we use the primes cipher of gematria, the word unbeatable equals 256. This reminds me a bit of the Y2K glitch. If you're old enough to remember, people were freaking out just before the turn of the century, just before the year 2000. They thought all the computers were going to glitch out. And, well, anyways, if we use the Frank Baconis cipher, type in the Y2K glitch just as you see it on the screen there, the capital Y and the capital K. The Y2K glitch equals 256. Like I said, that reminds me of the Pac-Man. level 256, where it gets all glitchy once you reach the integer overflow, or however you want to say it. A while back, the video's been deleted, but a long while back, I made a video about the Pac-Man level 256, and I got a comment. I believe it was Boneless Rockers, or shout out to Boneless. He pointed out that the 4 original ghosts from Pac-Man, Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde, if you type those names into Geometrinator, that equals 256 with the English ordinal cipher. Again, Blinky, Pinky, Inky, Clyde equals 256. And again, that game glitches out at level 256. You cannot beat it. It's unbeatable, level 256. But as I said before, I'm going to start talking about Neo from The Matrix, how 256 connects with him. Mr. Anderson. Well, first, as you see on the screen, I have the reverse Francis Bacon cipher. The words Mr. Anderson, the capital M, the capital A. Spell out the word Mr. Mr. Anderson equals 256. They show his passport in the movie, very briefly, and people talk about this. They point out when it expires. I've never seen anybody mention when his actual birthday is. Now, according to the criminal report, it's March 11th, which complements the 9/11 connections, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to talk about the 256 connections. If you look at the passport, his date of birth was the 13th of September, and it was not a leap year, so it was the 256th day of the year. People always point out that it expires on 9/11, 2001, which is very significant. This movie came out before the 9/11 attacks. People will say it foreshadowed 9/11 or something, and cool. You know, I'm not going to argue for or against that in this video. This is about the 256 connections. In my opinion, it's not arbitrary that they gave him the birthday September 13th, which is a bit of a holiday for computer programmers. I don't think, speaking of the 9/11 stuff, I think it was September 11th, I don't know, a dozen years ago or so, that in Russia, the president of Russia declared September 13th as National Programmers Day or something like that. I don't know the official title. But either way, it's celebrated on September 13th, non-leap years. There's something to be said for the official date, but I'm not going to get into that now. Like I said, this is all about the 256. And again, according to his passport in the movie The Matrix, Neo, Mr. Anderson, was born on September 13th, the 256th day of the year. And again, if you use the letters that I did, Mr. Anderson equals 256. Remember, that's what they kept calling him. If you've seen this movie, you know that the Agent Smith, said Mr. Anderson over and over again. But if you remember in the movie, Neo became like a master of the Matrix. He could go between the simulation world and the real world, the quote-unquote real world. And, well, just going back to the Tupac thing, his middle name was AMARU. Tupac supposedly died on September 13th. And more often than not, that falls on the 256th day of the year. And like I said before, in mythology, the AMARU was capable of transgressing the boundaries to and from the spiritual realm of the subterranean world. You know, and the 256 connects with Pac-Man. The level 256 is the highest level you can get to before it glitches. And just thinking about the ghost is the only thing that can kill Pac-Man, that I remember anyways. Like I said, the original game, the original Pac-Man, had 4 ghosts to speak of, and their names sum to 256. So I was just thinking about that, the ghost and the Amaru, the spiritual realm, and Neo. Right? Neo is able to travel from the real world to the Matrix. I keep saying real world, it's a quote unquote, but so I think I'm just going to leave it there. Well, I'm going to leave you with a few words, just another tiny clip from an interview. I mean, there's definitely a lot more to say about this. I wanted to try to keep it simple, keep it focused on the 256. I would like to leave you a few links in the description box, but one of them for the Magic Square. And it was based around the number 176, and 176 minutes translates to 256 on a clock. So if you go back, I actually have a whole playlist of the 176 stuff. And I do believe this links, but I'm running out of time, so let me leave you with this tiny little clip of an interview.
I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the one. And ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the one.